Welcome to episode 246 of Real Therapy, where we talk about how movies make us feel. I'm Donavon Thompson with my co-host,
Daniel Wingfield.
and since we're halfway through 2025, Daniel and I thought it'd be nice to talk about the remaining 2025 slate in regards to film, television, and video gaming. This is Real Therapy, and you know what that means.
They're gonna talk about how it makes them feel. They're gonna watch all the movie reels, cause it's Dan and Don in Real Therapy. It's real.
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's very busy, but I'm excited to kind of take a breather from our normal review schedule and just kind of talk about things down the pipeline and just kind of see what you're excited about, and then
Yeah.
and just kind of to recontextualize it. I haven't really looked that far of like what was coming out in 2025, and now that I did, I'm like, oh, there's a few things that I'm excited about that
Yeah.
might be like that I don't think you even know about, and I'm like, oh, I'm excited to kind of talk to you about some stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, there's so much coming out. There's so much. I mean, we're just in the heat of it. We're 2 weeks before Superman and Fantastic Four. There's a lot coming out soon that's going to be fun to talk about. And if you want to make sure you don't miss that, please just take a chance and go subscribe to our channel on YouTube or subscribe to us on one of the podcast platforms. It really helps us out just to get those numbers continuing to grow. So if you have a chance to do that real quick, that would be awesome. And especially because you don't want to miss, we're going to be some really fun discussions coming up soon.
yeah. Let's kind of get into it. So
Yeah.
we kind of have three categories today. We're talking about movies, television, and gaming. And so let's just kind of start off with movies here. I think it goes without saying, Superman is my most anticipated movie. But I'm not going to talk about that one. The three I kind of want to talk about first, or really just three. I'm not even talking about Fantastic Four. Like it's on my docket, even though
Sure.
I've gotten less and less excited about it as we've gotten closer to it, just because I think the MCU is just kind of
Yeah.
as a whole kind of testing my patience. And if,
Yes.
if I'm feeling that way, then
Yeah, right. Exactly. Then but I mean, we already know so many people have already jumped off the MCU boat, and it has become more than hip to just not like comic book movies anymore. And the MCU, I know the DCU and Zack Snyder are very much to blame for that as well, but the MCU has played their very handily part of that, especially the past 5 or 6 years, in just making people tired of it. And so, yeah, they've got a lot to prove for sure.
they really do. But back to movies, there's
Mm,
three here, and like one of them that you've heard of Nobody with Bob Odenkirk.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So you even know that one.
it was
But
like
when I
Taken, but
saw,
with Bob Odenkirk. That was the
yeah,
premise that I got from
it
the
was kind of like
trailers.
Taken mixed with John Wick. I think it's the same writer as the first
Okay.
John Wick. And there's even been some like illusion they're in the same universe, which would make sense.
Uh,
But it's very fun. The first one's a very fun action film. I love Bob Odenkirk, and it was kind of funny, and it even had Christopher Lloyd in it, who I also love. And it was this great kind of sneaky like movie that just kind of came out of nowhere, and
yeah.
I loved it. And so Nobody 2 comes out this year, which I forgot about. The trailer for it also looks great. It looks like the same kind of just what we're getting from the first one, which I'm totally cool with. I don't need them to reinvent the wheel in every sequel, and I'm happy for that one. I'm pretty excited for it. And if you haven't
How
seen
does
Nobody 1, check it
does
out,
Bob Odenkirk, does he work as an action star? Because I mean, like
dude. He
that
does.
feels like such a jump from Better Call Saul, and like his
Yeah,
previous work.
he does because he comes across as someone who is just so tired of
Mm.
like the BS. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
someone
yeah,
who
yeah.
he can come across like he can kick your ass, but it's really like like let's get this over
Yeah,
with kind of thing,
yeah,
you know? And so
yeah,
there's some really like if you haven't watched it really, the first one is really fun and it's short, and I highly recommend it.
yeah.
We've had some great like indie films this year that's like action oriented, like Novocaine.
Mm.
Nobody 2 comes up this year. We had another one I can't think about, which I really liked, but Novocaine is also super fun with Jack Quaid.
Hmm.
Other film I want to talk about is one that I think Johnny Brannon, close friend of ours, is also excited about, and it's Weapons.
Yeah,
And
I've seen the trailer for this. It looks wild.
it looks wild. I haven't seen the
You kn-
second trailer, which just
Me
dropped,
either.
but
Yeah.
this one, and I kind of don't want to. But I mean,
Yeah.
first of all, Josh Brolin, that's he's one of those people I could just watch him do anything, and I'm like, you're amazing at it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
he's in it as like a disgruntled parent, which I mean, I'm gonna love that. And I can't think of her name, but she's in Ozark, and she's in the new Fantastic Four
Yeah.
movie.
Yes.
And she was in Wolfman earlier this year, which was not the
Mm.
worst movie ever. But she's like, it looks like the lead in it. And if you haven't watched the trailer, people do that. There's even like a fun, like fake website you can go to that kind of like popularizes the world and like talks about the newspaper clippings of the kids missing and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I
And
mean, like, yeah, no, I mean, the trailer, it's like if you find like children creepy, if that's, and I think I do, like, that's one of the creepier things that like horror movies can do is like have creepy kids. This feels like the ultimate creepy kid movie, like ultimate. I mean, it feels like it's like one of those things that like I watch the trailer and I'm not usually a horror guy, and it's one of those things where I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks like scary and like freaky, but I really want to watch it. You know what I mean? And like, there looks like there might be some body horror maybe in there as well from the trailer a little bit.
yeah,
And there was another one that just came out that was kind of in the same vein. It was about another little kid. It was like set in Australia. Just
huh,
recently came out.
I can't remember.
Becoming, is that what it is?
Maybe I don't know this one. I don't know
Okay.
this one.
Um,
The
anyway, sorry.
director
Go ahead.
of Weapons, I think it's the guy who did Barbarian.
Mm,
And it was an interesting movie. That one was not, it was like not the, I didn't hate it or anything. I liked it, but it was just, it was interesting. It was like, it felt like two different movies. Um,
mm,
Again, it's not even bad. It was just odd. And
sure,
it was a good little horror film. It had Justin Long in it. I think he did Barbarian. So it looks like he's kind of working his way up in the horror space here, and I'm excited
sure.
for that.
Yeah.
I'm excited because Johnny's excited for it, and I hope it's good for him. Um, The last film I want to talk about, and besides the superhero stuff, the blockbuster stuff, this is the
Mm,
one I'm probably most excited for. We haven't seen a single frame of footage yet. It comes
okay.
out this fall, and it's The Running Man, which is a
Hmm.
remake of the Arnold Schwarzenegger film from like the mid 80s. And a childhood classic. It wasn't one of Arnold's best movies, but it had some great one-liners. And again, if you're a fan of Arnold, it's a classic. But what separates this movie from the rest of the pack this year is that it's written and directed by Edgar Wright, and it's starring Glenn Powell. And I'm
Oh,
very excited for it. If you don't know Daniel, The Running Man was actually weirdly based off a Stephen King novel in the early 80s. And
okay.
of course, when Arnold was attached to it, when they made their version of it, it was like this, 80s style machismo,
Sure.
whatever. But it has its roots more in like a thriller kind of aspect to it, action thriller aspect to it. So, but again, you have Edgar Wright do anything. He doesn't really have misses, in my opinion. Like his style is so distinct. He's kind of, I mean, like misses in terms of like his filmmaking.
Yeah.
He reminds me of something like a Brad Bird, where there he's very meticulous and the shots bleed into the next very seamlessly, and he has a certain style. I liked Baby Driver a lot.
Yeah.
Um, his Tornado trilogy, I love Hot Fuzz. At World's End was his weakest one. It's probably one of his weaker films. But then you have Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which is like one of my
Sure.
favorite movies of all time. So anyway,
It's
Edgar
good.
Wright, I think it's good.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The middle of that movie always bores me. I don't know what it is, but like I never finish it. I always start it and I was like, this is
You probably
awesome.
fell
And then
asleep
it's
in the
just like,
middle.
you know what I mean? Like I don't
Yeah,
know what it is. Halfway through that movie, it just loses pacing.
Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Anyway, Running Man, I'm excited. Glenn Powell was a star on the rise, and I'm excited to see what they do with this property. So anyway, that's
Mm,
my three. Again, Superman's number one.
sure.
But that's around the corner. That's like it's almost here. So anyway,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
what's your three? What's yours? I guess, yeah, whatever, three.
Yeah. Well, I also want to say that horror movie I was thinking of was Bring Her Back. Have you seen the trailer for that?
Oh, yeah, that's already
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, that's
That
what I was
came out
saying. Yeah,
a
it came
couple
out.
weeks ago.
Yes. And I think it got pretty good reviews too.
Yeah, it's the same director
Um,
as Talk to Me, and Talk to Me
okay.
was like a sleeper hit in my opinion for horror, and it came out I think a year and a half ago now.
Hmm.
I really liked Talk to Me. I was like, oh, this is a good little horror film, and Yeah, those guys.
Cool.
I'm hoping those guys are on the rise as well.
Yeah, yeah. Looking at this year, just movies in general, for me, there's not a bunch of things that are jumping out other than the superhero movies. Obviously Superman, obviously Fantastic Four. I'm going to be very excited to see those. And maybe this is just more an indication of the trend of like, I know that we're in an era where TV is more king. Streaming is making way more money than theaters are these days. And maybe that's where we're just seeing that there's just more interesting stuff coming to screens, because I feel like I have a so much longer of a list when it comes to TV shows than it does movies. But
Sure.
other than the superhero blockbusters, I think the one that is most intriguing to me, and such a surprise in so many ways, starring The Rock, the Smashing Machine,
Oh
I
yeah, yeah,
believe,
yeah.
or is the title of it. I mean, it definitely looks like an Oscar Beatty kind, like it definitely feels like maybe this is Dwayne's attempt to get an Oscar or get at least a nominated or something like that. It actually looks like he's acting in this and not just playing himself again.
Yeah. I could see him being nominated for a Golden Globe for this.
Yeah, well, and sure, sure. I mean, it would have to be really good to get in the Oscar
To
conversation.
even get a Golden Globe, I agree.
Yeah, but even those, I mean, aren't those the ones that are like really kind of bought? Like you just pay enough money to the right people and you get one.
That's why he has a chance to win that one. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I know. But like I'm saying, like it of any movie I've ever seen him in, it's like, okay, if this is done well, my opinion of your acting ability will rise.
Did you not think he was a good actor? I've always thought it's he has shown greatness in places, but it's in there. He
He's
always picks
shown
properties that
talent in places. I wouldn't say greatness. I wouldn't say he's like, oh shit, that guy can act. He's not a Meryl Streep. You know what I'm saying? He's not.
well,
He's not a
most aren't
Cillian
Meryl
Murphy.
Streep.
No. Right? Yeah, but I'm talking about people that can win big awards for their acting ability.
Sure,
But all I'm
sure.
saying is like it really looks like he's breaking all his rules in terms of like having to play characters that are always the winners. You know what I mean? He's playing a tragic character or a complicated character, and that's just interesting. And so yeah, I mean that's probably the one that just as far as like storytelling, acting, just that's piqued my interest that I've seen. But there's probably things I feel like too. You're right that I feel like we get more sleeper hits these days because maybe they're only in theaters for a week before they hit streaming or something like that or whatever. But there's probably going to be something that comes out that I'm not anticipating that I'll probably like. But
Did
those are my
you
anticipated.
did you ever watch Iron Claw that came out? I think last year
No, I
before
didn't.
last.
I didn't.
It has the same. I feel the same even color palette
Oh, it
as
look.
this.
Yeah, I agree. I
Looks
agree.
like
It
it's the
feels very
sister
similar.
movie.
Is it from the
But
same director?
I don't know. I need to look that up. But I mean, those actors are great. And even
Yeah.
the guy he's in the Bear, which is on my
Oh, but
like
yeah, I
honorable
forgot.
mention list.
This is a Safdie film. That's the other
Oh,
reason to be excited
that's
about it. It's a
that is
Benny
the
Safdie
reason
movie,
to be excited about it.
right? Like, so it's a Safdie and it's and I'm guessing. I mean, I feel like the Safdie brothers are very much like we do it our way. We're just going to do it our way. They have a
Ha-
very strong creative perspective. So I
Have you
think
seen their other films?
I've seen parts of them. I haven't ever seen all of them. They're stressful movies. they're
Dude, Uncut Gems, the scene where he tries to get in the jewelry store.
I've seen that. Yes.
Yeah, I was in the theater and I watched it, and I felt like my blood pressure was just through the roof. And I was just like, this is bad
They are
for
so
me
good
to watch.
at tension,
They're
man.
really
Like
good.
it's
Yeah.
really good. And so this movie feels a little more like character
It feels more
based.
like, yeah, looking inward. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's more of a character study than maybe their recent films, and it's just Benny. It's not them together. So I wonder.
Is
It'll be
Emily
interesting
Blunt in
stuff.
this? Is she also in this movie? They were in Jungle Cruise together. I feel like they were re-teamed for this, her and The Rock.
Yeah,
Um,
she is. She is. Yeah,
Emily Blunt, oh man, she's like one of my
she's great
Hollywood
too.
crushes. She's just fantastic, and I love her.
I still
I love
love that
her.
you like. One of my favorite performances of her is Devil Wears Prada, where she plays like a
Oh
C
yeah,
level character, like a secretary, but
that's
she's
when she
so
was getting
great
her
in it.
start. Yeah, she was
Yeah,
great. She
yeah,
was
yeah.
great. Well, I do want to mention also Safdie brothers. Just tying it back to superhero stuff. It was because of Good Time, because of that performance from Robert
Oh
Pattinson,
yeah,
which he could have done that without the Safdie brothers.
Sure.
But what they pulled out of him in that movie, I was like, oh yeah, that guy can act. Like that guy is way beyond anything he ever was in Twilight. Like that was
Yeah.
before, it was like when he was really trying to get away from that image of Twilight. And that's what convinced me was Good Time by
Yeah.
the Safdie brothers that he could be Batman. And, he did a good job like acting in Batman, so we got that.
Yeah. Yeah. He
Yeah.
did as good as he could with what he got to work with. Um,
Yet to be seen if we'll see him again as the Batman.
gosh,
Um,
that just seems like every day there's a new rumor about
I know.
what's
I feel
going on with
bad
the
for
script or the director, like
I mean, I feel
all this
bad for
stuff.
Matt Reeves. I mean, you ask for that whenever you take those kind of jobs, but I still feel bad for him. Like it's so bad that James Gunn's like literally in interviews he says get off his balls. James, the CEO
Yeah,
of DC
yeah, yeah.
Studios,
He's
says
trying to
that.
protect him. He's being a good boss, but
He really is,
the
but
internet's
it's weird.
unrelenting. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay, let's switch over to TV. You seem like you had a
Yeah.
lot more to pick from here. This one
Yes.
I did too, of course. Honorable mentions real quick. Of course, we have Stranger Things coming out this fall.
Mm-hmm.
The Bear season 4, even though season 3 was not as strong as 1 and 2 at all.
Yeah.
Sandman is around the corner, which we both I feel like
Mm-hmm.
liked season
Mm-hmm.
1. And then Dexter Resurrection for me is it's on the list,
Mm.
but my top three we had the last 6 episodes of My Hero Academia, my favorite
Oh
anime of all
wow.
time. I already know what's going to happen because I already read the manga and I
Okay.
spoiled it for myself. Funny, when I started the manga, I started where these 6 episodes start this fall. So,
Mm.
so I've read what these 6 episodes are, and so I'm excited to cry every week on Saturday night to every episode, which I will do because I cry every episode of My Hero Academia. So I can't wait to watch that. Super exciting. Other one is King of the Hill is coming
Oh
back
yeah.
on
Yeah.
Hulu, and I'm a
Yeah.
huge King of the Hill fan,
It's
and so
classic,
I
man.
I love it. And so I cannot
Yeah.
wait to see where our characters have been after 20 something years. And then
Yes.
lastly I bet this one was probably on your list too, and I'll let you talk more, is Alien Earth
Mm.
is in my top three most anticipated just because we got the guy from Fargo leading us, and he's had a really good run on FX.
Mm-hmm.
And of course it's Alien. So we've had like a good Alien and Predator kind of renaissance in the last couple of years, and so
Yeah.
it feels good to be with those properties and in good hands of creators.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, the Fargo TV show has been one of the most, it's kind of quietly been one of the best TV shows on TV. Um,
Do they get
in
nominated for
in
anything or?
decades. Oh yeah, yeah, the season 5, but that was like almost 2 years ago, and it came out in like January. Like it finished in January, like started in like early December and finished in January. But it got a bunch of Golden Globey type shit, I think. Yeah, I think the main chick was nominated for best lead, and then I think John Hamm was nominated.
That's my new
That I loved
to
that
get.
season, man. That season was so good. Season 5. Did you watched it, right? No, you haven't watched Fargo.
I haven't watched any of it, no. But I was gonna say my new
Dude.
goal in life is to get Golden Globey type of shit. That's my goal.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
you got to watch Fargo, man. You
I know I
got to.
need to. I need
It's
to.
like
It's on the list.
required TV viewing at this point. I feel like season 2, Jesse Plemons and Kirsten Dunst. They got married after they were in the season together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like the
Very cool.
chemistry is like it's amazing. It's really good. Yeah, season 2 is incredible, but season 5 they're all good.
It's crazy. You would never expect them to, in my opinion. Like
No, I mean like hottest girl. I mean she was my Mary Jane growing up,
she
right?
was
Like
girl next. She was literally girl next door
she was
when we were
Mary
kids,
Jane. Yeah, she was like
which is the girl next door. Yeah, yeah.
and so like of course obvious crush, of course, as any Spider-Man fan would be. But then him who just looks like the most regular schmo ever.
He does. He
But that's
does.
why he's so good. Me and my wife talk about all the time that like there's so many TV shows and movies where they cast people that are too hot that it makes it unrealistic. Like there's the TV show on Netflix that came out a few years ago, the one about the alien invasion happening, but it was like all the scientists figuring it out. The Three Body Problem. I don't know if you
Yeah.
know
Oh,
that.
they're all models in
No,
that
no,
show.
but one of them is. One of them is like 10 degrees hotter than everyone else, and they're all supposed to be like
Never
PhD
get it wrong.
scientisty people. So it's like
Gotcha.
this, like you're not a nerd. You're not a nerd. Like it's like it's
Reminds
just
me of
so
Aaron
obvious.
Pierre from Rebel Ridge. It's like that
A
guy
little
is
bit, yeah, yeah.
almost too hot to be in anything. You're like, dude,
Right.
your eyes, man. It's crazy how hot that guy is.
No, no, you're right. It is a little bit like, yeah, exactly. Okay. Anyway, TV shows. My most anticipated
Yes,
show this year is easily at this point is Fallout season 2.
that's right.
I have been on a, Walton Goggins like trip just with we've been watching all the Danny McBride shows and we're now on we've been going backwards. We started Righteous Gemstones, then Vice Principals, and now we're on Eastbound and Down. And like it's interesting how like much more the ridiculousness gets amped up every new show he did. It's like he just turned up the like ridiculousness of his character and he kind of plays the same character in every show. It's kind of just like the Danny McBride character, the
Yeah,
cocky asshole that thinks way too much of himself, that has no self-awareness. Like that's who Danny McBride always plays, and he's this in every show, but it's like amped up. Like by the time he's in Righteous Gemstones, it's just like off the
yeah,
hinges. You know what I mean? Like it's just wild. And it's also the theme that he's like this, like, out of shape, slobby, mullety guy, and he always gets with the like hottest girl in the show. Like that's
oh
always
yeah,
happening, and it's always like kind of those things you're like, there's no way she would ever be into this. Like, it's not even that he's unattractive. It's that like, as a person, he's not attractive. He's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
he's prideful. He's arrogant. He doesn't, it's like, anyway, it's funny. But Walton Goggins, I mean, Vice Principals, I think is my favorite Walton Goggins role I've seen him in.
Wow.
He plays a like effeminate vice principal too. He's like this very, like, uh, what is it? He seems gay, but he's married, kind of thing. Like, but he's this very, just like effeminate, very flamboyant character. He's always wearing these tiny pants and like slim. So it's like way different than what we've seen him in like even Baby Billy, who he was in Righteous Gemstones, or who he is in Fallout, right? Like he plays this badass
Yeah.
cowboy ghoul. And I mean, and even then the White Lotus was this year and he was fantastic playing another different, but a very like gruff, burdened, like kind of like has a fucked up past kind of guy. So anyway, I just can't wait to see him back as the ghoul. Catherine and I are planning on rewatching season 1 in order to like be right on time just to jump into season 2.
I may do that too, actually. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So no, I think probably November-ish we'll probably start rewatching season 1, just because I love that property and I love Walton Goggins and I'm so excited for what they teased for season 2. I can't wait to see how they handle it. So yeah, Fallout for me is just like I can't wait, cannot wait. That's the one that I think of. I'm like, oh yeah, December, yes.
I haven't thought about it because I don't know. I think like I know it's going to be good.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
ready for it to happen. But I have two things to say about that. One is, Mama told me not to. I did it anyway.
Yeah,
Misbehaving.
yeah.
That's my favorite. Every time I see that, I die laughing. Like
It's
he's
so
so good.
and it's so written. It's fun. It's just like it's a well written like it feels
It's
like it's a real song from back in the day. I don't
oh,
think it is. I think they wrote
no,
it
it's
for
not.
the
It's
show,
it's
but
for
it
the show.
feels like a country folky churchy song that would have come out in the 80s, right? Like
Yeah,
it's so perfectly done for that.
it's great. And
I will say
again,
too, like,
well, second thing real quick though is that you may not. I'm not sure it's your kind of show, but Justified. That's where I got to
sure,
know Walter Goggins, and
yeah.
he's fantastic in it. That's where that's for me where he got his big start was in that show. So
Okay,
anyway,
maybe probably. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I feel like I heard about him from first too.
I love that show.
No, I mean yeah. And have you seen him? He's like the Walmart spokesman now. Walton Goggins is.
I've seen him at
He
Walmart
someone
recently.
posted a picture. He was in the Northwest Arkansas airport recently,
Yeah,
making
I
a
saw
live
that.
video, and because he
Yeah.
was down there doing stuff with like the Walmart team. Like, but he's in all the commercials. He's like doing the commercials for like the Walmart Plus stuff.
Well,
And
he's
everything.
got some Arkansas ties anyway because I can't think of his name, but they did that Academy Award-winning short film that was shot. God, the actor, I can't think of his name. His wife passed away in like the early 2000s of cancer, but he lives in Little Rock. And he directed and wrote a short film that Walter Goggins is in. They won an Academy Award for it.
I missed this. Yeah.
No, you've seen it.
Oh,
We
okay.
watched it in class. But I'll look into it real quick and then
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
telling me
Yeah.
what your other TV
Anyway,
shows are. It's
Well,
called The
I mean,
Accountant. The short film's called The Accountant, by the way.
the
The Accountant.
accountant.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, now we know where that other movie got stolen from.
100%.
Yeah, no, so that I would say Fallout's the big one. The other one that's on my radar, just because I loved the trailer and it kind of was out of nowhere, and I think it's still slated for this year, is Wonder Man. I don't know. I mean, I think the internet still says
Wonder Man.
2025, but I
I
don't.
forgot about Wonder
We haven't
Man. Yeah,
heard
it's this.
anything, so I'm curious.
Yeah, it's this year.
But it had such an interesting vibe in the trailer that I'm just very curious how that one turns out, because it feels like Marvel do it when I feel like what Marvel when Marvel is at their best, it's when they give someone the leeway to make something different within the universe, like Guardians of the Galaxy, like Black Panther, like all these other things. So I'm hoping it's another one of those.
It's Ray McKinnon who directed and wrote and starred in it. And it was shot, I think it was shot in either Missouri or Arkansas, but he lives like right there by
Oh wow. Yeah.
the pizza place in
He
downtown
was
Little
in
Rock.
Mud too.
Yeah, yeah. So his wife was Lisa Blunt, married to the bodybuilder. I can't think of his name, something Blunt, and from also from Arkansas. She passed away. She was in a movie called Officer and a Gentleman,
Uh-huh.
with I'm getting so old, dude. I can't think of his name. Richard Gere. So anyway, he was in that in the mid '90s, also a very famous, popular movie. Anyway, that's a good
Huh.
short film if you haven't seen it. But they won an
Yeah, I
Academy
need
Award.
to.
You can see them holding up 2 Academy Awards. Him and Walter, and
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah. So that was
That's
like
cool.
long time ago. But yeah,
Yeah.
no Wonder Man. He's an amazing actor, and it's sad that they kind of, I mean, he was perfect as Black Mantis in the Aquaman movies, but it's sad that that character got to not do anything
Right. Yeah.
because of the state of the DCU. And it's interesting they picked him as Wonder Man. I feel like he could have been a bigger star and as a bigger
Mm,
character, but I'm excited for it. You have Trevor Slattery, coming back
yeah.
to be his mentor
Yes.
slash
He's
friend in
great.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, I'm excited for it. I bet money it will be better than Ironheart and
Oh yeah.
better than Daredevil Born Again, just because I just think it will be.
It's just one of those things where it feels like it knows the lane it wants to go in, and it's kind of doing it well. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I'm
and
excited.
it's a
It's
character
trying
we
to be
haven't seen
different.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So excited about that.
yep, that's good. That's good. Is that all your TV shows?
It is. Yeah.
Let's switch over to gaming real quick.
Yeah.
This one's my smallest list, and
Yeah.
mine will be pretty short and sweet here. There's really just not a whole lot on the docket for the rest of the year that I'm just really excited about. The only thing
No.
I can see coming out, there's really two things. One, I think it's in a couple weeks here, maybe a month and a half, but it's Metal Gear Solid Delta. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, and
Right.
of course that game is god tier level by
Yeah.
Kojima.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see that with the new graphics and those kind of things. I interviewed David Hayter probably a year and a half ago now,
Mm.
and he was talking about it then in that interview. And so I'm
Wow.
excited to just replay it again. I replayed it I think a year ago, and
Yeah.
even it being so old, it's still an amazing game. So I'm excited for that one. That's still my most anticipated. But this year, I'm really just kind of working on my backlog.
Yeah.
I just beat Resident Evil 1 for the first time last week, the
Mm-hmm.
remake. And then I'm starting Resident Evil 8 again, but like in third person mode, the new feature they just added. So I'm just kind of working through Resident Evil. 'Cause that's like one of my favorite franchises of all
Yeah.
time. But wait, real quick, the other thing I'm excited about is the DLC for Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that's really it. It's really those two, and everything else kind of feels like, I mean, I don't know, man. It feels like we're already getting information about new consoles coming out. I'm like, did this generation even happen? I don't even know. Like I feel
I
like it didn't
mean,
even happen.
yeah, I mean, it is wild. I mean, what's wild is that this generation, Xbox has had a much stronger first party offering. And that's only because PlayStation has
Guess
had nothing. The
that's not true.
what they've had
I don't know if it's strong.
Astrobot,
It's not
they've had
stronger than
Astrobot.
PlayStation.
I think if
They've
you look
had
at Indiana Jones, Avowed, Expedition, like, you look at Game Pass. I'm not talking. If I'll talk about Game Pass in terms of like what you get by being on Xbox right this generation versus what you get being at PlayStation this generation, the only thing you get on PlayStation is Astrobot, and then the Demon Souls remake.
was Ghost of Tsushima was that PS4
It's PS4.
and Last of
That's
Us Part 2 is
it.
PS4.
That's it. Two games.
We got a lot of remakes this year
A lot of
for
remakes.
PlayStation.
Oh,
Um, God of War was technically
that
both
was
PS4 and
PS4.
PS5. It was both.
Did it come out?
Um,
But I thought they just re-released it on PS5.
no, it was day one both, I think. 'Cause I played it day one on PS5.
Oh, okay.
Um, but it was made for PS4 technically, and they just kind of ported it over. And from what I understand, I could be. I mean, it was made. Obviously, it was the same engine as God of War One, the
Right.
remake or reboot. Um, gosh, I mean, Ratchet and Clank slaps, of course. I'm just trying to think of their first party stuff. You may be right. I don't
I
like that
mean,
you're
they.
right.
I'm nothing from Naughty Dog, zero, except remakes.
Yeah,
Nothing
yeah,
from
they had two
Playground
remakes.
Games. They're big studios have
Oh,
not put
dude,
out what?
Spider-Man 2, dude, a phenomenal game. Phenomenal, and Spider-Man Miles Morales. Both
But those
those.
weren't those both cross-platform? They both were. They both came out on PS4 and were made for
That part
PS4.
they were not. No, Miles Morales may have been made for PS4, but it was a launch title for PS5. Like it was their launch title for
I
PS5.
remember that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
But it was still
Spider-Man
on both.
2, I don't know if Spider-Man 2 was on both. I think it's just on PS5.
They're still putting games out on PS4 because they have
Well,
such a
okay.
giant audience on it.
Well, either way, Spider-Man 2 is unequivocally a PS5 game. Like it is.
Sure,
It is a PS5 game. So I
sure,
mean, Halo Infinite was also on Xbox One. So I mean, it's not like, and
sure. No,
so
yeah,
was Cyberpunk. But I count Cyberpunk and Halo Infinite both as this
sure.
generation.
All I'm saying is that like at being on Xbox, especially even just at the beginning of this year, I've gotten Avowed on Game Pass. I've gotten Indiana Jones on Game
But no
Pass.
one,
I've
but no
gotten
one's talked
Expedition
about Avowed.
33. Oh, plenty of people in the RPG
But
space. Yeah.
okay, but like no one's talked about this. Like it's like one of the all time. It's like it
All right,
happened.
fine. Expedition 33.
Yeah, I'll give you Expedition. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, Blueprints was on Game
but
Pass.
is it in Expedition also on PlayStation or no?
No, it is. Yeah, I'm just saying I got it for
Oh,
free because I Game Pass.
oh, okay,
I'm just
sure.
saying that this generation, it's been weird that I feel like you're right. There are a few games that specifically I don't have access to. Hold on, let me let my cat out.
There is something I'm going to talk of now during this time. There's definitely games. I don't like shilling for PlayStation, but I feel like I have to because I do play both. Um, there's got to be other PlayStation games for sure. I
No,
mean,
but think about it. They've been telling all of their studios to focus on live service games,
but
and
I
how
mean,
many
yeah,
have been come out and been canceled? Like they've been
Ghost of
pushing live
Tsushima
service
2 is this
games.
fall. I think this fall,
What
right? Or
is?
is that next? Ghost of Tsushima 2
I think that may be this fall. That's coming out soon-ish.
or next year maybe. Maybe it's
It could
next
be
year.
next year.
Yeah.
But still, that's
But
5 years into a platform.
yeah,
It's, and
we're
I'm not
all
saying
guilty of this.
neither
I
of them
mean,
have been great, but I would say that like Game Pass has been more of a value this generation for me. I mean, the one game that's come out on PlayStation that has been like I would absolutely be day one was probably Spider-Man. Ratchet and Clank and the other one don't do it for me really, but Spider-Man
I
would be.
mentioned Ratchet and Clank for my Mitchell. That's the only reason I did
Or
that.
Astrobot too. Like it's like okay, Astrobot.
Astrobot, dude.
I'm not a platform guy.
10 out of 10 game of Astrobot. 10 out of
Yeah,
10
no,
game.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it
Perfect
is.
game.
Anyway, I just think, it's been interesting that Xbox has had way more first party games this generation come out. Now, you want to compare what's been, quality. That's going to be completely subjective. I really loved Avowed. It's right up my alley for the kind of game that I love to play. And speaking of Avowed, Obsidian, who's becoming one of Xbox's like workhorses, is coming out with a second game this year, a second full-length RPG in Outer Worlds 2. And that's probably my most anticipated game for the rest of this year. I do feel like 2025 is front heavy, like just with Blueprints and Expedition 33 in the first half of the year. Now we've got Death Stranding 2, which is getting really, really, really good reviews. Like it feels like
I haven't even checked. It's just
oh, it's
doing
got,
well.
yeah, it's got like a 91 on Metacritic.
Wow,
It's
better.
a 90,
Obviously better than the first one game.
Oh no,
yeah.
it basically is like it fixed everything wrong with the first game. Is basically the reviews. You know
I
what
bought
I mean?
the first game on PS5, Director's Cut, and I played like 3 hours, and I was just like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, I mean that game was so divisive at the beginning, and it was kind of one of those things where like no one really liked it at first, and then eventually, if you just like kept playing, eventually people kind of started to get it,
Which is
like
a
get what he
weird
was trying to
like
do.
group
Oh no! Like,
compliment,
listen, I think
like
I agree. I think that's ridiculous, but it feels like this game you're able to pick up on kind of the core of what Kojima's doing a lot quicker. Now, I'm not a Kojima super fan. I don't just worship everything he does. He is a very like he has pushed boundaries in video games. He's a trailblazer, but I don't think a lot of his stuff comes together nearly as well as a lot of people do. I think the execution a lot of times is very lacking, and I think his understanding of like Western storytelling is lacking. I don't think he does a very good job at copying Western stylized storytelling.
yeah.
All that to say is I still really respect him, and I still like very much understand that video games would not be what they are today without him. You know, and
Hideo is not a god. I mean, and like, I
I
mean,
mean, some
he
people treat him that way,
and
for
they shouldn't,
sure.
and they shouldn't. I mean, he has definitely had some missteps, and part of them is his
Well, I would just
work
say
ethic.
none of his games are perfect. I've never like even the games that
No, I
people
mean,
have a
even Metal Gear Solid, they're like, I mean, those games are like, it's hard to explain. Part of it is
I get it that
nostalgia.
like
Part of it is just like,
8 to
is
12-year-olds minds were blown, and you kind of develop an emotional attachment to that feeling and that moment, and
yeah, yeah.
the bias is there that turns it into, oh, it's these games were perfect. Kojima's a genius. No one like
Yeah,
him.
well,
That
hey,
kind of
to be
thing.
fair, Metal Gear Solid 4 came out. When it was all said and done, after the 15 hours of cutscenes, the last cutscene's an hour and a half. The last cutscene is after the credits, and it's an hour and a half movie. And yeah, after it was all said and done, I was like, that's probably the best video game story of all time in a video game, like
Wow.
easily.
Yeah.
And part of it is because they have hour and a half cutscenes, and so you got
Sure,
you
sure,
have
sure.
lots going on,
Yeah.
But
You
and
need
I
to play
still might.
Expedition 33 because that I think is one of my favorite
Yeah,
stories
well,
ever.
keep in mind
Yeah.
this was
To be fair.
15 years ago.
Oh no,
You
no,
know what
no.
I'm
Yeah,
saying?
no, no. I'm not.
And so, but, yeah, I don't worship the ground he walks on, but there
Sure.
are things in those games that are like they're just next level. And that,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's a thing in just a real quick side tangent. There's a moment in Metal Gear Solid 4 where like the screen goes split, like it split screens like in
Mm-hmm.
four grids, and you're controlling like the bottom right grid, and you're seeing cut scenes on the other three grids of like what they're doing while you're doing your thing.
Hmm.
And like
Feels very
it felt,
oceansy.
well, yeah, it just felt like, and I still haven't really seen that since that come out, but that was
Sure.
like 15 years ago, and it was just like it felt like you're saying innovative. Like you
Yeah,
had to
yeah, yeah.
unplug controllers and plug them in other places because the
Right.
characters are telling you they're stopping you from
Right.
playing.
Right.
Weird shit like that. Anyway,
No, I love all
well, real
that
quick,
stuff for
Final
sure.
Fantasy VII Rebirth, which will come to, I think,
Yeah.
Xbox this year, Intergrade. Both of those are exclusive PS5 up until, well, I guess
Well,
the
they're
first
timed
one's,
exclusives. Yeah.
yeah, for a while though. I mean,
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII, it's like 4 years, and it's now coming
Sure.
out this year on Xbox.
Yeah.
That one, and also Demon Souls, which I'm not a Souls guy. I think Demon Souls is a remake, right? Or was it
It
a
was a
remake?
literal remake, like Blueprint, Blue
Yeah,
Point
yeah, yeah.
Studios, like ground up remade it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're the ones doing Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta. Um, okay. Anyway, yeah. I get it.
But anyway, all that to say is I feel like for this year with games, the GOTY contenders are already out. To me, it's right now. It's going to be Death Stranding, Blueprints, and Expedition 33, and it's just going to come down between like opinion.
Death
Like
Stranding will
those
be
are.
best guess game. Really? I mean, I need to look
Oh,
more into
dude,
it.
Kojima is like. There's so many people that will vote for it just because it's Kojima, just
Yeah.
because it's him.
I feel like his last two have not
And it's
really
getting
hit,
really good
besides
reviews.
PT.
This one's getting great reviews though. I mean, like, what's his last game that had a 90 on Metacritic at release?
Probably Metal Gear Solid 4, probably.
Yeah. Okay.
If
So
that.
anyway, like
Yeah.
it's hitting well, and so it feels like
Maybe Metal Gear Solid 5.
at least critically, it will be in the conversation for GOTY. You know, users, whatever. But so it does feel like the front was front loaded. But Outer Worlds 2, another interesting, deep space sci-fi RPG from Obsidian. I love Obsidian. They've made some of my favorite games of all time. And I'm really excited to see. It seems like they've really taken the ideas that they had in Outer Worlds 1 and just expanded it times 10. Outer Worlds 1 was fun, but it did feel a little bit small in scope. And it just kind of felt like there was ideas that they had with mechanics that work really cool on paper, but the way they played out gaming just didn't work. You know what I mean? So it feels like they've really gotten to refine and to iterate and kind of really redo a lot of things with this one. And it's like supposed to be way bigger. So I can't wait for Outer Worlds 2. It's just right up my alley. I mean, again, like those kind of Obsidian RPGs, like I know I'm not alone. There's a large portion of people that like love them the same way. It's just like the way Obsidian does RPGs with characters, with mechanics. It's really special. So I'm excited for that. I don't think it'll be right now. I guess I would guess an 80 to 85 on Metacritic would be a good score for this game. It could go lower, just if it doesn't click in some ways. But yeah, I mean, nothing to me that this year at this point, there's nothing that could touch Expedition 33. I just don't. I don't think there's going to be anything that touches that game for the next like few years, probably for me in terms of like just
Wow.
Everything I want from a game. So
I still have my backlog I'm working through. I just beat Max Payne 3, which is an old Rockstar game.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the last time, maybe on the podcast, but at least last generation, where we talk about who had better exclusives. It'll just be
Yeah.
like everyone and then
Yeah.
versus Nintendo.
Well, and the big thing that I'm really looking at Xbox about is that the big rumor right now is that their next Xbox is going to essentially be
Yeah,
a
Steam.
hybrid computer, a Steam.
Yeah,
it's going to have Steam
it's the ultimate
integrated
fuck
native.
you to PlayStation.
Oh, right? Because
Yeah.
then they are cross-platform, even if they don't want to be.
I wonder if PlayStation will try to like legally stop something. I don't know.
It would have
I'm
to be
not-
something that's already in the contracts, probably. But like,
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the thing. It's like if
this is what we've been
Xbox
talking
just
about
chooses
for years now. Is that
yeah.
this is the end game, and again, the end game is putting a stick on the TV, and then just when the TV
Well-
shifts, it's on the TV already, like a Hulu or
Dude, my
Disney
mom
Plus.
plays Xbox on because when you've got Game Pass Ultimate, you get Game Pass like Play Anywhere.
Cloud. Yeah.
And so she likes these little like puzzle games and like little things that don't need like one-to-one latency or whatever. And she'll just play it in her bedroom. She's got like a newer Samsung TV, and my Xbox remote will just sync right up to it. And you just go in and it's like play any of these games on Game Pass. And she just
Yeah, I mean, this morning they announced
her room.
limited edition MetaQuest 3S with Xbox. Did you see that?
No, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you could already play Game Pass on your MetaQuest already. It already
okay.
syncs up. You can play your Xbox controller in VR already.
Oh wow, yeah.
But now they released today exclusive. It's like it looks like Xbox themed everything. It's like they're doing with like the Ally ROG, which I'll admit the Ally ROG looks super expensive, but just because it's the first. I consider it more of a branding than an actual Xbox. They keep saying, this is an Xbox. That's like they do the same thing this morning on the MetaQuest 3. This is an Xbox.
Well, yeah, but that's their whole marketing thing. Like,
no, I know.
Xbox.
That's my point. But what I'm saying is because of that, because of the branding or whatever of the Ally ROG, I kind of want to get one because also I like the idea of playing my Xbox games, handheld. So.
I do too. I think that is very tempting. I've seen they've shown two models, and I've seen the rumors being like one's like 550 and the other one's like 750.
Oh, it's ridiculous, but yeah, I still want to.
I mean, it's the same price as a Nintendo Switch too. So I mean, is it that ridiculous?
Yeah.
I don't know. But the thing is, with those, you do have Steam. You get Steam on those too.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
not just
you can play,
Xbox.
You can play Uncharted and Spider-Man 2 and God of War,
And you can do that too on like the Steam Deck. Now the Steam Deck's just kind of getting old at this point, like specs wise.
They're going to wait like probably 2-3 more years. They want to. I've read recently they want a big jump. Like they want a market improvement. So.
And I know like the ROG Ally X is like I think it has like the best fidelity of all kind of handheld PCs right now, like in terms of just like there's the screen and like the processing power and all that kind of stuff. But I also know that like what I've heard though is that like it's a bitch and a half to use kind of thing, where it's like, to get it to work, you have to be kind of tech savvy a little bit. Now, I wonder if this special Xbox version will kind of fix that. But I've heard that's like kind of like the nice thing about the Steam Deck is you just pull it out and it's ready to go and you should do it. The Ally X, you have to like to really get it to work well, you need to download like a third party OS that some other random dude made online. It's like one of those things where
Yeah.
it's like,
It
you know,
seems like from everything I've read and all the videos I've watched, it really like they're really billing this as the OS system, which they're using they're
yes.
using what is it, whatever, Windows, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like it's a stripped down version of that, particularly tailored to gaming.
Yes.
And
Right.
so I think that will be the appealing thing for people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know it's interesting. I mean, I've definitely got my eye on it. I think I do feel like a gaming PC or a handheld gaming PC feels like the next logical gaming device to get for me. Like if I'm going to invest money, serious money into gaming as a hobby, to me it just feels like the PC ecosystem just feels way more worth it at this point. My Xbox Series X will probably play everything in the next generation anyway. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
so,
probably.
yeah,
Well, I've run into this new problem where there's like three kids around all the time. And so I'm like, man, I wanted to play this like really violent
yeah,
game that
oh yeah,
everyone's, drugs and sex and blowing each other's heads off, but I can't. But
yep,
I could with the Ally Rog X, So
yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah,
been thinking
yeah.
about it. I've been like, I can just go in my bedroom and play it there.
That would be
So
nice. That
because
would
they
be
use the
nice.
Xbox, they use mine. The Xbox
Oh
also will
yeah.
have
Well,
a
we use our Xbox as a streaming bot. I mean, my kid,
yeah.
uses it to stream stuff sometimes. I mean,
Exactly. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
anyway, I've had that thought many times lately. So and the Switch 2 is just like I think I've had opportunities to buy one, but I
yeah.
just it just doesn't seem worth it to me right now. So
No, I mean, it does feel like unless you have to have Mario Kart or like
and I'm a Mario
all you
Kart
play is
fanatic.
Zelda and you gotta play it in 120 FPS. Like it just doesn't, to me, there's no incentive to buy it at this point.
Yeah.
And just I mean, honestly, the price is just feels a little bit like just, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's ever going to feel worth it. I mean, maybe in 20 years when inflation means that like $550 feels like 150 now or something like that, when it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
550, I spend that on a loaf of bread, then it'll feel worth it. Uh, but it is one of those things that's just like, I don't know, man. I can play most of the games you guys put out, like the indie games that are usually that I'd be playing more often on my PC thing if I get it, or you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm not. It's going to be a while till they make a new Zelda because it does definitely feel like Tears of the Kingdom was supposed to be a launch exclusive for Switch 2 because there were so many rumors that it was coming out that year. And they just did, like, that was the year like the Switch LED or OLED came out or whatever instead, and everyone was just like, oh man, they pushed it back. That was the big rumor, and it feels like this. It needed a Tears of the Kingdom. Like if you could only play the new Zelda on the Switch 2, that would it would kill her for it. Now it feels like it's selling fine anyway, so it doesn't feel like it needed it.
Fastest of all time, apparently. So
Yeah, and now to be fair, gaming is bigger than it's ever been. There's
yeah.
lots of reasons you can say that like it's not one to one the comparison,
No. No.
but and two that like the confidence in Nintendo was quite low when the Switch 2 came out or the Switch 1 came out because we were just off the Wii U and no one liked it. So
Yep.
everyone was kind of like, is Nintendo even going to get it to, like, will this be the last Nintendo console was some of the like conversation of like, if this isn't good, do they just become a software company? And then it did what the Switch 1 did. And so now, coming off that, everyone's, oh yeah, Switch 2. And it does look like a great like if Switch is your number one ecosystem, it
Yeah,
would
why
make
wouldn't
sense. It's a sizable upgrade. It seems like the reviews are, yeah, like this feels like a good upgrade. This doesn't feel like a half step in some ways. Anyway,
I will pull the trigger when the new Super Mario comes out. So, or
yeah,
Smash, but it'll be Super Mario
probably
first.
next year. I have to
Yeah,
guess. Yeah,
I'll pull the trigger then probably, for sure.
yeah.
Okay, well, before we go, we like to talk about one thing that may or may not be film or TV related. Daniel?
Mine is TV related. I want to talk about a show that Catherine and I have been watching. We're almost done with it. I think the season's almost over. Starring another Skarsgård, the son of Stellan Skarsgård from Andor fame. I think it's Bill. Sorry about that. It's the one that played Pennywise. That Skarsgård. Anyway, it's called Murderbot, and it is like a very dry humor, satirical sci-fi show. It is about this like basically android, like synthetic. He's part human, part robot, but he's like grown in a lab. And basically just one day he like hacks his like governing module and he has free will all of a sudden. But instead of like running off and killing people or doing whatever he wants, he just continues to pretend to be a one of the robot guards and like spends all his time watching TV shows. While he's just like standing there. So it's like he'll like be like, and he's like watching this like very much like Star Trek homage cheesy show. And so it's just like him like, and he's very cynical. He's always just being like, humans, what the fuck are they doing? Idiot. Like he's just like this like, oh God, like he's kind of this like everything's exasperating to him. He just wants to keep watching his TV shows. So every time the humans need him to save them, he's always just like so annoyed. And so it's just this really fun, like the Bill Skarsgård is fantastic in it. He's nailing the kind of dry humor. It's got just a fun kind of plot where, it's a very corporate world where these people that are kind of trying to live independently, and there's this big kind of conspiracy plot going on. And kind of the core conceit of it is that like this group he's with figure out he has free will. And so them trying to figure out how to trust each other because they're realizing that this literal murderous that could kill them in an instant if it just wanted to has free will. No one's telling it what to do anymore, but it's kind of choosing to still protect them. And so it's really, really well done. It's short episodes. They're like 20, 25-minute episodes. And so it's like quick in and out, but it's got real dry, really quick humor. It's really fun. I'm really enjoying it. It's a great little laugh. It's got a great vibe. So I highly recommend Murderbot on Apple TV.
I watched the first 30 minutes of the first episode and I just cannot get into it. But also it's Alex, it's not Bill.
Oh, I'm sorry. Alex Skarsgård.
Bill's a Nosferatu, he's Pennywise. Alex was in Succession.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And so, maybe it'll grow on me, but I need to restart it, I guess. But I cannot get into it.
I would say the first episode wasn't the best one. It starts picking up. Like I would say it really starts to find its groove in like the second, like when he starts interacting with the human group he's with and you start kind of getting to know them. And then like when they figure out he has free will, like it really picks, it's got like, I would say the chemistry within the group is really fun at this point where it's like, it kind of positions this group as these like hippie, like let's all sing Kumbaya around the campfire, no to violence, like we're like anti-violence kind of people. And then this guy will be like, if there's danger, I'll blow their head off. I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? So there's this great, like, it's kind of like they have ideologies where he's just like, can you guys leave me alone so I can watch my TV shows? But every time you need me to show up, he just shows up and blows their head off. And they're like, no, it's like, so it's got this just like back and forth between them trying to trust him and him deciding if he's even going to stay around. I could just walk off and leave them here and they die and I wouldn't care. You know what I mean? Like he's got this great internal monologue the whole time. So I agree. I think, I feel like we watched like the first 3 or 4 episodes at once because it had already been on by the time we watched it. So I do think it benefits from probably watching the first 2 or 3 to kind of get the vibe. I think it takes a minute to get into it, but once it's there, I think it nails it. I'm really happy.
Did you ever watch Foundation?
We tried, and the dialogue kicked us out.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Everyone raves about it. Like it's this big epic sci-fi thing, but I've never seen it. So
it's that weird. It's with Silo and it's with Foundation. It's both of these like sci-fi epic ones where it's like
Ferguson.
It's another one where people. Yes,
I watched 4 episodes. I was like, oh my God, I cannot watch any more of this show.
Absolutely. I like people are like, even like no offense to the actress. I bet she's a great actress. People were praising the performance.
She's hot and she's an awesome actress. Yeah.
No, I thought like, it felt like I felt like that show was the most like telling me not show me show I'd watched in a long
I
time.
got
Like
as far as her doing the bomb or like the mechanic thing underground. It's like episode 3 or 4.
yes, yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
was like, oh my God, I cannot do this anymore.
Well, and there would just
The
be
politics
scenes.
of it was awful.
Well, there would just be scenes of her like for one, I remember there being a specific line of dialogue where I was just like, "That's horrible writing." Where like it was like this moment where like something went wrong, and she was like, "What's going on?" They're like, "I don't know," and she's like, "Well, tell me." Like it was just this very like she's contradicting herself all the time, and all her scenes were her brooding scenes where she's just like drinking and then like being like "Ugh," and just kind of like just like brooding around her apartment. We're just like these like what it was just clunky as hell storytelling. And
Yeah.
it's weird because you get like on Reddit and stuff, you'll get people like talking about, oh, this is great. But then you'll be like, and like you'll see some comments and be like, I don't know, I couldn't get into it. Does this still happen? And people are like, yeah, this is still, the writing's not good. But if you can look past that, it's fun. I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't look past it. So yeah, I Foundation was the same way where it was just like, someone thinks too highly of their prose skills and are trying to like mimic Shakespeare with some of these like monologue.
Mm.
It was just like bad, clunky, cheesy writing. And that to me, the writing and especially dialogue writing is like one of my biggest pet peeves just in general. If people don't sound like real characters, it's going to get me off the boat quick. And those
Yeah.
suffered heavily from that. I mean, what is it common or someone that's in Silo? Like there's some rapper dude that plays like a bodyguard or whatever, and he was so bad.
Maybe. Common
Yeah,
is in John Wick Chapter 2, and in that movie, he's awesome. But other than that, I don't know Common's work though. But my before we go is, gosh, what do I talk about? Yeah, I'll do this one. So, 28 weeks later just dropped in theaters, and for the first time ever went back and watched 28 Days Later. And, it's got Cillian Murphy in it,
mhm.
and it's got the girl, I can't think of her name, but she's from Pirates of the Caribbean 3. And I can't think of that guy's name either, but he's great. He's in all kinds of stuff. But anyway, I watched it, and directed by Danny Boyle. It's a really old movie now, but man, I had a great time with it. I love the kind of really indie filmmaking and like just some of the choices Danny Boyle was making. I was kind of like, man, I just don't think I would have the balls to make some of these choices, and but it was working with the
Yeah.
style of the film. And then I think the thing that like made me like the film the most was that it was such like it was so dark, and you really get attached to this character, and you're like they died, you're like fuck, that sucks. But by the end of it, it was really like hopeful, and I
Mm.
had this really stream of like hopefulness in it, and I was like, I loved how they pulled that off.
That's a very Danny Boyle thing. It's very similar to Sunshine. You've seen Sunshine, right?
I
With
I
Cillian
don't think
Murphy as
so.
well. It's kind of like
Uh-uh.
it's the movie where it's like the sun is about to die out and they're on
I've
this
heard of
mission to go
it. I've
restart the
never
sun.
seen it.
You should watch it. It's really good. It's
Yeah.
got Chris Evans in it. It's
No, I
really
gotta
good.
watch it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's really it's got a really good cast. Um, but it's a very similar thing where it's like a horror kind of monster kind of it's kind of a movie. It's like that, and it's also like one where like the journey is so dangerous, like no one's gonna survive, kind of like thing. But it has a very similar thing too, where it's like it feels like the end is like no, the end is like dire for not just these people but humanity. But then it kind of ducktails out of that and has this kind of hopeful moment where they succeed. It's like a
Yeah.
dark, dreary, depressing. We're on a hopeless suicide mission. Very Mass Effect 2, but not nearly as much levity as that game gives
Yeah.
you. Everyone's way more depressed in this one. But then and Cillian Murphy, another great performance by him. Danny Boyle and Cillian Murphy, they do good stuff together.
Dude, you just made put this in my brain. What if we had Jonathan Nolan make a Mass Effect TV show?
Yeah, honestly, there's part of me that says massive. I mean, it's that weird thing where it's kind of like Master Chief too, where like the main character in Mass Effect is kind of a nothing character because he has to
Yeah.
be renegade and whatever the other one was.
Paragon.
Yeah, so they kind of have to write him so generally that it works. Any of the stories work, any of the responses you make. So it would have to. I feel like to do it you would have to really go, okay, we got to make Shepard into a real person. And
Well,
if
of
the
course.
success of it would hinge on how well you do that. Can you make
Yeah. Well, I
Shepard into
mean,
like more than a vanilla video game protagonist?
well,
That's the
obviously,
question.
I'm not advocating for the worst version of the show, but I'm advocating for the show set in the world of Mass Effect with the first Mass Effect game story, which I think is one of the best video game stories ever
Oh
in
yeah.
terms of just like lore and character, like Garrus and Rex and all those guys, and you get like a really deep and emotional
You
Shepard, and
knowing
then
EA, who owns BioWare, who owns the Mass Effect IP, they got, I mean, after Fallout, every big like video game company probably started talking to someone about turning one of their games into a TV show, right?
it's
And
perfect for
Mass
it.
Effect is one of those that's just like, it's got a huge following already. So you've got a baked in audience that's going to be there day one, no matter what. And it is one of those games that's like, yeah, like it works because of the characters and because of how interesting they are. And that's much easier to translate to a TV show or a movie versus games like even like Halo, where like Halo's good because of the gameplay. Like Halo's good because of how good it feels to play Halo and how just kind of like the world of Halo is good. I wouldn't say it's the best part of those games as much as like how fun it is to just play Halo. Mass Effect
Yeah.
has never been a gameplay first series. Gameplay has always been like, okay, it's good enough, right? On all of the games, it's good enough. The point is the story, the point is the characters. And so, yeah, it seems
I
like it
mean,
would be
just
the
the idea that
perfect
the
thing.
Citadel, the Reapers, again, like Garrus and Rex, like those species are some of the best, to me,
Yeah.
sci-fi species characters ever made.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, how would you
all
do
of them.
Garrus? Would you do CGI and get the same voice actor? Or would you cast a
Oh,
real
yeah.
person?
I would definitely do. It'd be mix of both practical and CGI, but yeah, it would be
Use his
CGI
voice.
character.
Use
Yeah,
the
man.
OG voice
I
guy.
feel like don't we know that guy?
He lives in Arkansas or something like that.
Yeah,
He lives in
yeah,
like Northwest Arkansas. Yeah, he's an
yeah,
Arkansan. We don't know him. We
yeah.
tried to get him on the podcast and he said
That's what it
no.
was. Oh yeah, we definitely don't
Yeah.
know him.
We tried to
Um,
know him and he said
that's
no.
right. That's right. That's right. Yeah. That's why I didn't remember it. It was a painful wound.
Yes,
So
that's right.
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
And
Garrett.
he
But
was
yeah,
well, and he was
Garrus.
in the Avowed game too. He was basically like Garrus, but in Avowed,
Yeah, he does
recently
some
too.
good voiceover work for sure. But yeah, no, I mean, Garrus is just. I mean, I'd take a TV show just on Garrus. You know
He's
what I'm
an
saying?
awesome
Like
character. Yeah, yeah,
he's one of the
yeah.
coolest badass guys around.
It's also that thing of like I feel like you'd have to kind of do it as a show. Like on face value, yes, I could probably distill Mass Effect 1 into a 3-act structure for like a decent
Yeah.
sci-fi action movie. But again, the magic of Mass Effect is the politics, is this world that is the Citadel. You can go explore and find out all this stuff about people and alien races that aren't really pertinent to the main story, but it's there and it's rich. And I feel like you'd want the space to explore that. You know what I mean? Or tell some of the side stories that, the side quests of Mass Effect 1 that weren't necessarily directly tied to the main quest, but were still really good.
Yeah.
Especially like if they adapted Mass Effect 2, there's so many of those. I mean, so many of those side stories have nothing to do with the Reapers
No.
at all.
No, but
And
just
so,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, the end of Mass Effect One is one of like what happened story wise is one of the best endings of all time in a video game, in my opinion.
it's
It's
really,
like
really, really,
like
really good.
it and Halo 1 are both like perfect video game stories to me, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Isn't it amazing? And we have to get off here obviously, but isn't it amazing how bad they fucked up Halo on the TV show side? So bad
I
I've
mean,
not seen season
when
two.
you read about the behind the scenes, it makes perfect sense.
Well, of course it makes
It
sense,
was
but I
never
mean
supposed
it's
to be a
still
Halo show. It was supposed to be a generic other show, and they couldn't get it greenlit, so they just threw the Halo name on it, and it got greenlit. And it was like, yeah, it makes sense. You made something so shitty when you put that much forethought into it. Yeah, makes sense. Who I'm maddest at is whatever Microsoft exec okayed it, right? Like, because the TV network, they don't give a shit. They just want to make money. You put the Halo thing on there, they know it makes money. That they're just a business. I don't fault them for being soulless. That's just the nature of that side of Hollywood. But someone at Microsoft thought this would be a good idea, and like that's where I'm like, It's your fault it turned. Someone should have said, "What the fuck, guys? This is not a good idea. Why are we doing this?" No one did, and like that's just it's mind-boggling. It's up there with the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, where it's just
Don't remind me.
what the fuck are we even doing? Where it's like, this is so bad, I just wish it didn't exist. Almost. There's like a couple scenes in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show that like are really fun, but like I don't know, the rest of it's so bad. I mean, every time I remember Kumail Nanjiani's in there, or that opening running scene with Princess Leia, I'm like, nope, not worth it. I don't care. I'd rather not have those scenes too.
Again, I forget about all these things until you remind me, and then I
know you
so
shudder. You're like, oh.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
It's like
All right.
secondhand embarrassment. Like, I don't want to even be seen as a fan of this IP because of how bad this is. Like, I don't want to be known as a Star Wars fan because of how bad Kenobi was. Like, I'd rather, you know what I mean?
Show someone
You're making me
trying to
ashamed of
convince
my
them.
childhood.
Yeah, I would not show them like, hey, you might like this, and I would not. That would not be the opening pitch, at all.
Yeah.
Well, as mentioned before, make sure to like and subscribe to Real Therapy on YouTube.com/RealTherapyPod to show your love and support, and whatever podcast service you're on. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. We don't accept anything less than 5 stars. Not at all.
No.
Well, my name is Donavon Thompson,
I'm Daniel Wingfield.
and we'll see you at your next session.
Real Therapy is brought to you by 241 Studios and viewers like you. Thanks for stopping by. Remember to tune in every Friday at 3 p.m. for a new session with Daniel and Donavon. And remember, they're gonna talk about how it makes them feel. They're gonna watch all the movie reels, 'cause it's Dan and Don.